Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Antique Talk. Now, in today's episode, we're going to discuss the 5 biggest mistakes you can make when you start a small business. Now, we've owned 66 unique antiques in Nashville, Michigan for going on over 10 years now. We've seen a lot of small businesses come and go, and we feel like we've got a really good understanding of the mistakes that we've seen being made that could have really changed everything for some of these small businesses. And not to say we haven't even dropped down to a couple of these mistakes ourselves when we were going down the line too, but we obviously caught them early enough to course correct them to make sure we stayed successful and stayed in business. Now, a little bit of background on us. About 11 years ago, me and my wife both worked at Walmart. Just your simple overnight stockers, and man, did I hate it. I hated working third shift. I couldn't stand being at that store anymore because of mainly the fact I wasn't really good with authority. I couldn't really take direction from somebody else. I always felt like I knew better than they did. I probably was a toxic employee, to be honest with you, just because I always felt like that's not the right thing to do. You should do it this way. So we pretty much got to the point where I'm like, you know what? We should just go off on our own and start our own business. Now, we used to do auctions and estate sales all the time. So it got to the point where it's like, man, we could buy these things for so cheap and be able to resell them for a higher price and make a decent profit off of it. And as we expanded on doing that before we got the business, we found out, wow, we could actually make a livelihood out of this. So we actually went on a hunt and found our building right in Nashville. It was a deserted building, just trashed, and it took a lot of work. So we literally started from nothing. We got a building and we cleaned it for months. I mean, it was literally a hole, guys. I'm telling you, it was nasty. So we cleaned it and got it ready to go and prepared, and we started our own business. We put all of our eggs in our basket. We cashed out our 401k, emptied our savings, and put everything into this business. So, I mean, that's just a small little background on it. We obviously struggled through 10 years. Oh, I'd say we struggled through 5 years, and then it got a lot better. It took some time to get out of that struggle phase and then to actually feel like you're a little more comfortable in your business. So yeah, we've been around a long time. We've done a lot of work in small business, and we've literally done it all just with 2 of us. No help from, investors or anything like that, just family and ourselves and friends. I mean, it really was, that was it. It wasn't like we had this huge, stable of people and funds to just fund this business while we struggled. I mean, we literally were paycheck to paycheck for a long time. So trust me, we have the insight when we talk about these small businesses. So let's get into these 5 big mistakes right now. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is having consistent hours. Now, this is something that you would think would be so simple. You're open 9 to 5, Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 4 on the weekends. That is it. You think it would be really easy. But the biggest problem we're seeing is people get bored. It's 3 o'clock, nobody's in all day. I'm just going to close up and leave. That's when somebody's coming to travel from an hour away to come check your store out, and you're not going to be there. Now, it's something that's happened all the time. Quick little story. When we were back first opening, we had one of the worst winters here in Michigan in 2013. So it was one of those years where you were just sitting at that store freezing your butt off because we have an old building that couldn't hold heat at the time. And man, we were so cold, just freezing, nobody in all day from 9 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. We would just be there by ourselves all day, freezing. But yet we stayed there the whole time because we didn't want a chance closing up early and all of a sudden somebody's coming to see us, and guess what? We're not there. And now that we look back on it, we have many times where it's like slow day, not many people coming in. It's 4:30 and a rush of people come in. And just think, if we were to close at 4 o'clock, we'd miss out on all those customers and they wouldn't trust us anymore. And having your customer trust you is so important. If they don't trust the fact that you're going to be at your store, how do they know when to actually go there? Because you're actually going to be there, because your hours say you're going to be there and you're not there. I mean, it's something so simple, but it's so important. And all of a sudden, you get there and you start changing your hours. That's another big issue. Whatever your hours are, make them work. Give it time, because a lot of times people rush and they change things so fast because right away it doesn't work. Give it time, let people get accustomed to your hours, because that is very important. It takes time for people to know that you're there, know when you're there, and they know they can trust you to be there. So yeah, make sure you have consistent hours. Once you set them, stick to them until you test them out for a long time and find out, okay, maybe we should adjust a little bit. But you got to give it time to marinate and let people understand when you're going to be at your shop. Next up, we're going to talk about hiring help too fast. Now, obviously, some small businesses are going to require you to hire help right away. Your restaurants and everything, and I totally understand that. We're not talking about those ones. Now, the little retail shops is what I'm talking about. Now, in our situation, we didn't hire help until about 9 years into business. We really couldn't, honestly, for one, afford to hire help, but also we didn't want to give a chance for an employee to not give our customers the same standard that we did when we were running the store. So it took us a long time before we actually could trust somebody enough to hire them to make sure that they were going to give the same, experience to the customers that we do. And that's very important. Your customers are everything. So if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. And yes, an employee can mess up a customer flow that fast. All it takes is one bad experience and word of mouth will strike, especially with social media and Facebook and all these avenues to people to trash a business. That is something that we didn't want to take a chance on. So we always tell everybody, when you start a business, you're going to be there all the time. I mean, there was times at our store I was there from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. because we were either cleaning or running the business, but then also having to do all the stuff after that as well. So there's a lot of times that, yes, you're going to have to put everything into your small business, and make sure when you hire somebody, they're going to have the same standards for your business that you do. Obviously, they're not going to have the same skin in the game as you do, so don't expect that, but do know that they're going to represent your business. And so if you can't trust them to represent your business, that is a huge strike, and it's going to really hurt your business down the line. So make sure you guys pump the brakes on hiring somebody. Get yourself established, vet as many people as you can before you can actually trust somebody to run your business, and make sure they have that good name behind it that you brought up as well. Let's get on to the next one. All right, so now we're going to talk about not knowing your audience and the area where you're starting your small business. Now, just a quick rundown, when we started our business, we had to make a huge business plan. And they did a market run of a 30-mile radius of where our business was. So we found out the median income, the age groups, the genders, what was the biggest, rundown of our area. And we found out real fast that we were not in a high income area. We were in a low to mid income area. So we knew we couldn't have a high-end antique store right away. We had to build up. So nowadays, when we're looking at it 10 years from now, or 10 years to today, we could have those higher prices and whatnot because we have people that come from all over the country and all over the Midwest and everywhere to come see us because we've established ourselves over a long period of time. But when we first started, we found out we couldn't price stuff super high. So if something was worth $30, we were pricing it around like $15 to $18 because we knew we couldn't touch those tippy top prices because we didn't have that audience. Within that 30-mile radius is going to be where you start your business, and then let it grow from there. And it took us time to grow from that 30-mile radius to, statewide, to Midwest, to regions. It took a long time. And I think a lot of people make that mistake of not knowing the area that they're in. They want that high-end antique store in a low-end town, or they want the low-end antique store in a high-end town. Because if you're in a high-end area, they're not coming to buy your low-end stuff. They're on a little more of a different plane than you are. So you have to understand the audience and the area you're coming into, because we've seen a lot of people come into our town, and I'm telling you, they try to open up something that was just like, oh, this ain't going to work here because we don't have that audience. And if you have the time to build that kind of audience to get to that point, more power to you. But a lot of people don't have that time and money to build that into a certain area, So you have to take time and effort to really make sure you know the area and the audience you're coming into. All right, so let's get into the next one, which is surviving the honeymoon phase. And now you might be asking, Mike, what is the honeymoon phase? That is a coined phrase me and Amber used that's usually applied for relationships, but we started applying it at businesses. That is that 3 to 6 month window after you open where everybody loves you. You're the shiny new toy, the new kid on the block, the brand new business. Everybody's coming to check you out to find out what exactly you offer. That is the honeymoon phase. Now, surviving that is so important because a lot of times people during that time, that's when they start hiring help because they see all these people coming in. And then after the honeymoon phase is over, the customer flow dies down. And then you have to all of a sudden pay an employee now. And that's when a problem really can start ensuing. So surviving that honeymoon phase and then finding ways to bring those customers back is so important. So a quick little rundown of how we did. Now, our honeymoon phase was about for 4 months where we had just tons of people coming through, but they bought all of our cool stuff. And so we all of a sudden looked around and were like, man, all of our really cool stuff is gone. We got to find ways to get more cool stuff in here. And that took us time. It really took us time from that late in our first year until really late in our second year before we could start rebuilding all of that cool stuff we had, just really nice antiques and quality items that made people want to come back. So when we started doing that, we started bringing those customers back, but it took a while. And that's the problem we see with a lot of these businesses is that they come in and then they start making all of these changes to survive that really busy run they have at the beginning. And then they find out, guess what? The run slows down because, man, sometimes your highest of highs and your lowest of lows never last. So we always tell everybody when it's really fast and really busy, ride that wave. And when it's really slow, trust me, it'll get better. Because a lot of times you get caught up in it sometimes and it can really make a difference on how you run your business and it can be the detriment to some of your business as well. So please survive the honeymoon phase. It's a thing. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about today is underestimating the amount of work it takes to run a small business. Now, this is by far the number one thing we see all the time when it comes to running small business. And trust me, we were also a victim to underestimate how much work it takes to run a small business. Now, there were certain things we understood. You have to be there. No matter what, you have to be there. You have to be open. You can't just close when you want to. You can't call in sick. We knew that part. So always being there was a huge thing for us. But trust me, we didn't understand the fact that, oh man, we got to pay sales tax. We, got to be the accountant. Guess what? The toilet's jammed. We got to be the janitor. Oh man, someone needs this hauled in. Oh, guess what? We're also the haulers too. Oh yeah, and we need to run sales every day because we're the employee as well. All of these things go into running a small business. You are everything. Any and everything that needs to get done is your responsibility. So, you don't clock out at 5 o'clock and go home. I rarely get out of our store when we close. Usually there's something that takes me at least another half hour to do, sometimes even an hour to do. Sometimes we have to travel after work to go get more stuff, so work doesn't end there. Our days off are filled with going and getting more stuff, going to auctions, estate sales, meetings, business meetings. I mean, it never ends. And trust me, I signed up for it. I love it. But you have to love what you're doing to make sure you guys understand how much work goes into running a small business. So know that when you get and run your small business, that it is not just a free pass to do and make up whatever you want. There is a lot of things that go into it. Be prepared to work, grind, and make it a success because you guys can definitely do it. We did it. We started from nowhere. We literally had nothing. And then we built it up into something super successful and something that's going strong 10 years later. So trust me, guys, small business owning is one of the best things you can do in life. You're your own boss. You make everything that happens is because of what you put into it. And that's the most rewarding thing that ever came out of this whole thing. I didn't even think about at the beginning. The stuff we've created and the stuff we've done means the most to me because we created it. We started it from nothing. We didn't hop on somebody else's bandwagon. We created it from nothing. So putting that work in and putting that time in means everything to me, and hopefully it leaves a legacy to my kids and their kids, and hopefully we just have this huge antique legacy that goes through our family, even though my kids probably would not go around that line. But hey, everything you put into it is what you'll get out of it. So hopefully you guys found a lot of value out of this video today, and if you did, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, and then don't forget to share, comment, like, all of those great things. It's much appreciated. It means the world to us. So guys, thank you all so much for watching. And if you guys get some time and you want to come out and check out our shop, stop out and get your antique fix on M66. See you guys later.